Hey, so I'm recording this Saturday morning after the big, terrific game last night, Indiana and Oregon. Here's my topic: Is the SEC dynasty over in college football, and has the Big Ten now become the dominant conference in college football? Let's talk about that. For the better part of the last 2 decades, college football had one king, the SEC. They had the championships, the talent, the swagger, and since 2000, with a few exceptions, the SEC has completely dominated the trophy case. But these days, with the 2025-2026 national championship game opponents now set, Indiana, Miami, it's becoming increasingly clear that the landscape is changing, and fast. The SEC hasn't even reached the national championship game, hasn't even been represented for the last 3 years. With wealth gaps widening between the conferences, and new powers rising, there's a real question we've got to ask ourselves right now. Well, we don't have to ask ourselves right now, but I'm asking. Are we watching the end of the SEC dynasty in college football? And is the Big Ten about to take over? Welcome to Savela Insights, y'all, where we open the door to topics not covered elsewhere. And I'd really like to know where you stand on today's topic. It's bound to raise a few eyebrows. But the landscape of college football is undergoing a seismic shift. And it's driven by two powerful forces: NIL money and free agency through the transfer portal. A lot of analysts thought this would level the playing field, pardon the pun. More parity, more equality. But what we're actually seeing is quite the opposite. Power is consolidating. The rich are getting richer. I'll explain that in a minute. And they're doing it faster than ever before. And at the forefront of this consolidation stands the growing power of the Big Ten Conference, dominated by teams like Ohio, Oregon, do I dare say Michigan, USC, Indiana now, and so on. By the way, did you see the Indiana playoff game last night? Awesome. The Big Ten has become a behemoth. Now, look behind the emotions on this, but they're a behemoth, uniquely positioned by their unprecedented financial might and their coast-to-coast media footprint. They are fundamentally built to overtake college football dominance. Now hear me out. The foundation of Big Ten dominance is simple: staggering wealth. Their ascent is a direct result of aggressive media rights negotiations. They struck a 7-year, $8 billion deal with Fox, CBS, and NBC. And the gap between the Big Ten and the SEC and everyone else isn't just a line on the balance sheet. It's a competitive weapon. The most current financial data for 2024 shows a $10 million gap per school for media participation, favoring the Big Ten over the SEC. However, financial projections, when they're finalized for 2025 and 2026, when the Big Ten's full media deal kicks in, are much more significant. To give you the numbers, the Big Ten is projected to pay its schools, and how they divide the media money, around $75 million a year in this current fiscal year, while the SEC is projecting somewhere around $55 million. 75 million, 55 million. That's may not mean much in words, but think about it. It's a staggering $20 million difference per school per year. And that difference compounds year after year. And in the NIL, the name, image, and likeness era, unless something changes, that money is leverage. Big Ten schools are projected to receive around $75 million per school, and potentially over $80 million in 2026, each school. The SEC's per school payout is expected to trail significantly for years to come. When those TV contracts pay out, Big Ten schools are taking home significantly more cash than their SEC counterparts. And don't dismiss this. Money equals talent acquisition. And the money doesn't just come from TV deals. It lives in the environments these schools are in. Schools like Michigan, the Ohio State, and new additions like Oregon are embedded in massive alumni and donor ecosystems. And we're talking about technology titans like Larry Ellison from Oracle, or Mark Cuban. We've all heard of Mark Cuban. Some of the richest people in the world. And apparel giants like Phil Knight of Nike fame. These folks are among the richest people in the world. And they're Big Ten sports enthusiasts. Big Ten sports enthusiasts. And it's not necessarily that these billionaires are cutting checks directly to players. That's not really what we're talking about. It's that their networks create an institutional capacity for wealth that the SEC simply can't match across the board. That's a very different model from how SEC powers like Alabama and Georgia built their recent dynasties. Those programs, and to their great credit, didn't build their successes on massive endowments or tech billionaires. They were built on elite coaching, recruiting efficiency, and cultural community. Nick Saban's process, Kirby Smart's discipline. That model worked incredibly well in the pre-NIL era. But the modern landscape doesn't reward efficiency the way it used to. It rewards scale. And scale favors programs embedded in those wealth-dense Big Ten markets. NIL and the transfer portal have effectively introduced pure free agency. In this new checkbook sports environment, money talks louder than tradition or geography. The Big Ten's vast media revenue allows its schools to create larger, more stable NIL collectives and official revenue-sharing agreements than smaller conferences. And yes, many SEC schools simply cannot match it. The transfer portal has become a tool for buying depth and acquiring immediate impact players. You need a solid running back or a top-drawer wide receiver, you can practically buy one. It's almost like Amazon. You can poach proven talent from less resourced teams by simply offering a better package. And this creates a cycle where the rich stay rich. The Big Ten's final strategic move was geographic. Their expansion from coast to coast was brilliant, with SEC at UCLA joining. They now have member institutions in the top three media markets in the country. LA, of course, Chicago, and a deep penetration into the New York market. And these massive footprints offers unparalleled national exposure. Big Ten games are now broadcast on major national networks all Saturday long, from morning until past prime time. And for an 18-year-old recruit making a decision, that extra visibility is a form of currency. It complements the direct NIL payments and helps build their personal brand faster than almost anywhere else. It's not just about the school's TV money either. It's about the player's brand. As a player in the Chicago, New York, LA market has a greater chance to build their personal brand and secure national endorsement deals. Brands look at follower counts and exposure when they're cutting checks. That consistent national screen time makes them instantly more marketable in the transfer portal than a player in a smaller regional market. It literally turns that exposure into currency. The argument that NIL creates more parity is complicated. It allows players to move, but where they move can be greatly influenced by the biggest checkbook in the biggest market. The Big Ten isn't just keeping pace with the SEC. They're strategically leveraging the new rules to pull ahead. They've weaponized their legitimate, above-board, rules-regulated money and massive market size to create a self-reinforcing cycle of wealth, talent acquisition, and exposure. The result may be a future where the Big Ten holds a level of dominance we have never seen before. Not because of tradition, but because of how the sport is now structurally built. Well, that's the way I see it. I imagine there are some differences of opinion out there, especially going to yet another national championship game with no SEC representation. Soundly eliminating SEC stalwarts like Alabama and Georgia, not to mention the noble showing this year by Ole Miss. So feel free to drop me a comment below with your opinions and your predictions for the future of college football. Be as supportive or as disagreeable as you want. I know this is a controversial topic. And if you like this sort of content, please like and subscribe. And click that all-important bell so you'll be notified when the next episode drops. And I will see you next time on Savela Insights.